Peace to the family. I won't tarry long today. I know I say that and I do, but I'll assure you today I won't be long. I was dreaming last couple days, and they say if you remember things that you dream, you should one or two things: either don't talk about it or write it down. But it wasn't really a dream, it was a thought. It was a thought of me being absent from my daughter due to an immigration issue. But the matter was, what am I missing with her? In terms of education, I think back to my early education, and I used to have a great love of geography and of maps, map making. So I held on to it, and a few days later, the concept came for me to speak of the relevance of geography, right? As an ESL professor, I used a technique called metacognition. Look at the word meta and look at the word cognition, and that'll tell you a lot about what I'm talking about and the process that I'm using. Meta means beyond. Cognition means thinking. Look at the prefix of cognition is co, so two different things. Ignition, start something, ION with a charge, right? So metacognition is similar to quantum physics in terms of thinking. So okay, back to geography. As a Pan-Africanist, I remember learning the continent of Africa and all of its different countries, as well as the world's countries, right? So when we have a working knowledge of the globe and how it's situated, we can begin to analyze geopolitical events from a geographic perspective, right? Geo mean earth, right? You think about all the words that mean earth, right? That would take you to Terra, territory, Terra, the goddess Terra, so forth and so forth. So metacognition. The United States currently has a bizarre administration going on. One of the first acts of the head bizarro in charge was to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, right? That seems peculiar. But if you go into your metacognitive processes, why is this man trying to rename different land masses and bodies of water, right? To put you into a state of conceptual incarceration, right? He was, at the present moment, May the 16th, 2025, near or around that area, for posterity. This guy is on the Arabian Peninsula, and he was talking about renaming the quote-unquote the Persian Gulf, right? The power to define is the power to rule, right? Okay. Back to the word America. It's funny. The dominant social class, everybody will say, I'm an American. Okay, well, so is a Canadian. So is a Mexican. So is a inhabitant of Caribbean islands. So is a person from South America. But white male hegemony has determined America to be United States proper, right? So that's a power to define, a power to conceptualize, a power to incarcerate just by defining a geopolitical location, right? And these are things that are taught but are not taught, right? In the age of information, who thinks about the earth and everything is on a high road to outer space, right? But you forgetting about the terrestrial growth, the terrestrial globe, right? Just bring it back down to earth. We live on earth, so that's how we supposed to rule the earth, okay? In analyzing geopolitical conflicts, we have to think about, what is the earth broken down into? Its resources, right? We call that the economics, ecology, metacognition, is it akin to the earth, right? Look at the Greek root of the word echo, right? So, okay, just in this little short talk about geography in the earth and metacognition, let's look at some of the hot spots today. Let's look at Sahel, the Sahelian region of the continent of Africa. Sahel, to my understanding, Sahel is a Arabic word that means coast. But the Sahelian states are not on the coastline of Africa. They're in the interior of Africa, mainly roughly around the Sahara Desert. It's a coast between the Sahara Desert and these countries that make up the Sahel, the Sahelian states. We're talking Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, right? So the man of the hour in the Sahelian states is Ibrahim Traoré, but we forget about the other two leaders, right? Go check their name for yourself. Okay? So Sahel is an Arabic word for coast. So there might have been a time where the Sahara Desert wasn't a desert. If we use a metacognitive process of thinking. Okay, let's move on to another hot spot. Let's deal with Ukraine, right? If we have a knowledge of geography, we know that Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, the United Soviet Socialist Republics, which was the USSR, commonly known today as the Russian Federations, right? So we see that they're fighting this war in the Ukraine because of Ukraine's proximity to the Black Sea. And the Soviets, but the Russians wanted a warm water port. and an access point to be able to get their Navy out into the world, right? So we're talking about naval supremacy, right? And if we look at the most dominant countries in the world in terms of naval supremacy, you would have to talk about the United States. The Soviet Union is trying to get that level of naval superiority, and the sleeping giant of China, right? China has surpassed the United States in terms of numbers of its naval fleet, right? So let's look at another hotspot in this world, and I'm gonna shut it down after this. Let's look at Taiwan, right? People think that China, and we're talking about the Chinese Sea, the East China Sea, the South China Sea, and that geographical area. We're talking about Japan, Philippines, Taiwan, and the closest out point that the United States would have, if we're looking at the geographical makeup of the United States, would be Guam, right? So Guam, not too far from Taiwan, to be specific, and not too far from Hawaii, the Pacific. So we're talking about the Pacific Fleet of the United States. But all this because of geography. So when you begin to make geopolitical assessments of what the conflicts in this, how these conflicts are playing out in the world stage, simply a simple knowledge of geography can point to you the who, what, why, where, when, and how of the situation that's going on. So just simply put, a simple subject just as geography can make your analysis of world situations so much more poignant if you would only take that chance to go back and rehash some of those things that you're supposed to have learned in elementary school, middle school, and high school, right? By the time you reach university status or anything, even high school, because if that's where you stop going to school, you're supposed to be able to make these analyses that are going to directly and indirectly affect your economic well-being in this world. So with that, I say peace. Again, please like, subscribe, and share the video, just to get yourself thinking. Again, you know, if you lived a day without learning, then you wasted a day of living. All right. I hope this finds you in the best of life, strength, and health. Have a wonderful day.